All right, we're on the mics.
Welcome, Texan Ads here with you for another BTC weekly update. And what a couple of hours it's been, Ads, after that boring as hell range we've been trading in for a little bit. It seems like we've got a little bit of action.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, what are we seeing, Ty? What are we seeing on BTC at the moment? What are you seeing? Let
Yeah,
me know.
so not overly surprised by this. We can see by the chart that we posted a couple of days ago inside our private trading group about this range that we were teetering in, where we were rejected around that 875 mark, and we said, we thought that 8750 and 8478 was going to be our range, but we've kind of blasted through that a little bit now, and I think we got as low as looking at the charts now, we got as low as 8341. So for me, at this point, I didn't catch that. I wasn't too interested in playing in this chop at the minute because, as we said, we were probably looking for some heavier moves to the downside to liquidate longs because there were a lot of bullish people looking for a continuation of this upwards move. But I don't think I was too confident of that occurring until we had a sustained move and close and break above the 8-8 sort of mark that we were looking for, and we didn't get it. So at the moment, this hasn't really come as any sort of surprise. But from here, I still kind of I think my bias has changed a little bit. We did post another image inside our inner circle ads, if you want to bring that up, from Tuesday night, where we went over a bit of a deep dive on Ichimoku with our guys. So that was our range that we posted a couple of days ago. But the other one ads that we brought up, yeah. So on Tuesday night, we did a bit of a deep dive with our guys on Ichimoku, and we were talking about C clamps. Now that's a pretty serious divergence between our base and conversion line, our Kijin and our Tenkan San lines there, where we can see our baseline there sort of teetering around that 8 sort of mark. And even though we can sort of see it to the left there, where when we have these divergences or these big separations between our base and conversion lines, and typically, especially when we break through our conversion line, we need to have some sort of equilibrium occur a lot of the time, where we either go from our conversion line to our baseline, or our baseline to our conversion line, depending on whether we're going up or down. And in this case, it looks like we might get to a point where we do get a bit of uh, uh, what's the word I'm looking for here? He adds, where we do get a bit of a move to the downside
Oh,
to
yeah.
occurring down towards our baseline. So that would line up pretty well with our demand zone there as well, which we've got between sort of 8.1 and
Yeah,
8.2.
yeah.
So at this stage, with the volume that's coming in, that sell-off that we've had as of now to liquidate some of the longs, we might find that we could continue to sort of range a little bit around here before another continuation downwards towards that demand zone
Yeah.
is maybe looking more likely at this point than it's certainly us continuing up to back towards that 9 sort of 2 high that we had recently on the 19th of Jan.
I believe that's going to be the play at the moment. We've had this blow off top here at around the 9-1 mark, so it only makes sense to get some relief in that market, cool off some of these indicators on the daily, and maybe visit the demand in play. I think.
Yeah, it's always nice to be bullish after these moves, but as our friend David Modell sort of says, when we have these big moves, we often need to sort of return to the scene of the crime in order for it to be a healthy correction of a pretty decent move that we've seen over the last week and a bit, or couple of weeks rather, from that 6.5 up to that 9.2 mark. So
Yeah.
this certainly isn't a bad thing for a potential continuation. I think if we did head back down towards that demand zone, that certainly would be a good place for a pivot and a continuation of this upward momentum, because we can still see on the daily chart here, we've got our bullish TK cross, which occurred. We've still got a bullish Kumo twist. And for the minute, our lag line is ever so slightly teetered back in towards the cloud. So we're hoping for maybe a cloud bounce from there, and I certainly think, as I mentioned, I think the 8 sort of 2 mark certainly would still be considered a healthy correction before a continuation upwards.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with that, because
Yeah.
it does line up too perfectly with these levels of demands also here. So we did have an incredibly big move out of that price zone, that zone of 8.2 or 8.150, 8.2 round, the 8.2 range. So I think that a full circle to come back to this point before another leg is required, in my opinion. And I think that's the same thing we've been saying for the last week or so anyway.
Yeah, and I think it was yesterday or the day before we did post inside Inner Circle again, where we spoke about this range. But it was one of the worst posts that I hate to trade and that I hate to write. And I said, listen, we could go up or we could go down here. We're waiting for a break of this bottom range that we spoke of, this bottom trading range around 8,474. We're waiting for a break below that, or we were waiting for a break above that 8.8 mark. So I think at this stage we're coming close to getting our answer. But looking at BTC now, it seems like we've got a pretty decent buy up of that. I know looking at the 1 hour chart now, there's a little bit of a fight going on there. There was a pretty good bit of buy up. We can see we've got quite a long wick there, indicating some buyers came in at that point there. But as we know, we're not in control of this market. We're only retail buyers, so really it's best to wait for confirmation and see where we're sort of headed. But with the decrease in volume and this very boring price action that we're getting besides now, I'm pretty happy to sort of sit on my hands and wait for a better position and wait for a clearer indication of where we're headed. I think you really need to have patience in this game, and sitting on your hands while these moves play out is certainly not a bad thing if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, exactly. And look, if we're looking at the smaller time frames as well, we're just following like basic market structure where we've had a higher high, and then we've failed to make another one, and we're starting to make higher lows all the way down. So look, it's definitely looking like 8.2's on the cards, continuing this pattern all the way down, and more than likely, if we switch to the 4 hour chart, we're going to see our oscillators, our homegrown steamroller, be satisfied to the point where we could have another leg at around the 8.2 or 8,000 market at demand there.
Yeah, and for our itchy lovers out there as well, if we look on the 4 hour using our standard settings, we had a bearish TK cross there occur on the 20th, and we had price sort of consolidating around our conversion line. Looking at the 1 hour, if we go even a little bit lower again, on the 23rd, I couldn't even tell you what day it is today. It's the 23rd. So even just a number of hours ago, 7 or 8 hours ago, we again had a bearish TK cross occur there where our conversion went under our baseline, and we also had a bullish Kumo twist. Now, using the Itchy on the 1 hour, you're going to get a lot of noise, but there's no denying that Itchy again was giving us the signals there, as was Steamroller ads.
Yeah, absolutely. Ty, you being pretty much an expert on Itchy, tell me about this.
An expert, come on now, don't put me.
Tell me about this. Tell me about this Kumo twist on the bearish side on the 4 hour. What do you think about that at the moment?
Yeah, and I think I think it was in IC, in our Inner Circle, in our private group a couple of days ago. I said it looked like our Senkou span B was looking and converging on our Senkou span A, and we could have a bearish Kumo twist. Again, it's giving us a little bit of an indication, although it is reacting to the downwards move that we've had as of late, but it's still giving us a little bit of an indication that at least short term, some downwards moves wouldn't be out of the question. So again, we're looking at our daily, we're looking at our demand, and now we're looking at what Itchy's telling us on the 4 hour. Wouldn't be surprised at 8.2 at this point.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. So guys, don't be afraid to put your thoughts in the Discord. That's where you got this link anyway. So we want to hear from you guys and see where you guys think it's going to go. But what else have we got tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Just on that, the more people that comment and share and are engaged in this conversation, the more eyes we have on the market. Ads and I are two people, and we make mistakes, and happily we'll admit that we do make mistakes when it comes to charting at times. But the more minds that are seeing something, the more opportunity we all have together to benefit and profit from it. So don't be afraid to leave your thoughts in there. So let's have a look at some of our alts. As we know, when BTC flounders and has these moments, our alts often follow it. Let's have a look at a couple of updates from ADA that we spoke about on Tuesday night and posted. Looks like that's playing out quite well. So we hit our supply level there wicked into it very, very nicely, and looks like we're having a downwards move towards that demand zone now. And we can even see on the 4 hour, we are having that C clamp that we spoke about again. So we've broken down below our conversion line. It looks likely that we might head down towards our baseline there. And indeed, looks like we're going to have a little bit of cloud support at that region as well. So that one playing out quite well.
I think we're on the money on that one as well. It was really it was quite an easy one to pick, where we had our demand drawn on the daily, which was from this structure here on the left from the 1st of December just last year, and then when we got to this level, or got close to it rather, on Tuesday night, we were seeing bearish divergence on the CCI. We were having this double top, all right, out of the middle zone. So that's quite easy to see. We're having a bearish divergence on the RSI, and then on that we were at supply as well. So it was an easy reversal to spot. It was an easy one for our guys to look at and follow as well, and then back down to this demand level. Not a strong one at this point in time, but it is the most relevant area to look for at the moment.
Yeah, and also just on that as well, we've got to admit, when we were wrong last week or a couple of weeks ago, we thought that ADA was not looking good for a push at all. We really weren't interested in trading the alts. We were more interested in trading BTC, and we were certainly proven wrong in that instance. So happy to be right on this occasion with ADA.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it really came down to this choppy right-hand moves on ADA of the last of the last month or so. That's why we were sort of thinking that it wasn't going to push, or it wasn't going to go it wasn't going to give us any bullish sentiment anytime soon. But yeah, absolutely happy to be wrong, and glad we picked the reversal on that one.
Yeah, and I think if we also put our fib there, if we draw our fibs from our swing low there on the 20th up to the swing high there on the 21st, just sort of playing it on the shorter time frames there, we can see that we're probably going to get a nice little bounce off the 50 mark if we overlay it with our Ichi as well. So another little bit of confirmation too that we might get baseline bounce there, or at least some baseline support.
Yeah, that 50 fibs lines up way too well, and our demand level sitting right in between the 50 and the 61.
That golden pocket.
I think that's where it's headed.
Yeah, so let's keep an eye on that one. Again, you do have to be careful when BTC is playing like this, because alts are, due to the lower liquidity, you're probably better off playing in these higher cap alts anyway to see a little bit more stability than what you would trying to chase pumps and everything. You see a lot of people on Twitter at the moment talking about, ION and XLM and a few other these alts that people are waiting for the pumps now. People are waiting for those 20% pumps. Just don't chase the pumps. You're better off playing in higher liquidity, higher cap altcoins, or if you are less prone to heart attacks, just playing in BTC, I think is probably the best mode at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of alts and higher alt cap alts, let's have a look at Binance Coin. This is one that played out really, really well. Bounced rejected rather straight off our supply there.
Yep.
And looking at the 4 hour, again, we've consolidated between our base and our conversion line. And
I'll
just
throw that
starting
back
this
up so
sucker
they
up
can see
now.
it. So yeah, we're in between the base and conversion line. We've had our blow off top, or we're having our reversal off that supply. The thing that really interests me at this point in time is that these wicks that have pushed through the supply and then got wicked down. It's a sign of strength, in my opinion. That if we have this pullback on BNB, we could have a further move to the upside past this supply zone. So we'll have to wait and see what this does when we find some support down on one of the fib levels, or even our Ichi cloud tie.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll have a look at a couple more alts as well. I think it's probably important to take a look at ETH and how that sucker's playing out at the minute.
Where are we? Ethereum, there we are. So ETH, we did on Tuesday night say that it was going to probably head towards the 50 and the 61 on Ethereum. And I still think that might be true, but we need to see what BTC is going to do over the next maybe day or so, and confirm those moves. If we see more downage on BTC, we could see this drag ETH down also, I reckon. So
yeah, and taking a look at it on the daily, there's some crazy wicks going on there on
Yeah,
F
it is.
at the minute too, as well. There's a lot of people trying to pull that down. You can tell by the length of those top wicks there that they're trying to stop it from breaking through at that supply that we've got there. So putting on Itchy and putting on the daily, if we, again, not to flog a dead horse, but if we draw our swing low there, we've got some pretty good support and baseline support around that 50 fib level there. So what could be playing out potentially as an edge-to-edge trade if we continue down from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that lines up really well with our 50-61 retracements too. So I think that might be on the cards with that one.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll have a look at another couple of quick ones that we shared inside our inner circle. I want to give out a shout to Kaz. Kaz, if you watch this back, it's a shame that you weren't able to jump on this, but your TA certainly reaped benefits for the ones that did. We got a nice 21% push there from our descending wedge or our falling wedge on Matic ads.
Let's have a
It
look.
was a quick pump, and this is what we said when we have seen this playing out a few times on these lower cap alts, but we had a really nice bounce off demand there from that descending structure, 21% bounce, and then now we seem to be consolidating between this supply and demand yet again.
Yep, so the way we identified this one was the demand here to the left, obviously using that red candle with a massive leg out of that zone. So that was pretty much solid support rather, or supply, demand or support. We did have a massive bounce with that falling wedge out of that zone and then moving up basically to the level of supply, which is pushed through the first one and then the second obviously being right at the top. So a decent 21% push on Matic, and that was all thanks to Kaz. Good one.
Well done, Kaz. And last one we'll look at, last week we shared on our first stream that we were looking at Raven RVN. We were looking for a quick pump out of that one, and that was on the, if we look at that wick down to demand, last Tuesday was last Thursday rather was, actually it was last Tuesday. We shared that Raven was looking for a quick little bounce, and we got, I didn't play this one, unfortunately I missed it, but we got 17% out of that one directly off demand as well.
Yeah.
So played out quite well. So for the minute, the smaller alts and actually probably most of the alts for me are really off limits at the minute. I'm more interested in seeing what BTC does, positioning myself for a better move. Overall, still bullish on BTC until proven otherwise if we break down. One thing that is notable, though, that we did share a couple of weeks ago with our private guys, and we did a bit of a deep dive on CME gaps, which we know that 95% of the times do get filled. So the concerning thing is if we do break below 8 or 8.2, there is a couple of CME gaps, I believe around 7.6 or 7.8. And listen, there are some CME gaps that haven't been filled for a very long time, but the majority of them do get filled. So between here and 8.2 is going to be quite an interesting time. Are we going to start consolidating again back within that range before another move up? Do we push further down towards the sort of the 8.2 mark and then bounce off and head back up towards supply, which would be healthy for BTC? At the moment, it's really anyone's guess. I'm not willing to speculate. I'd rather wait till the info presents itself and then jump on a long or a short.
Exactly right. And, you know, for the minute, right in the short term, we're looking at the 8.2, 8,000 mark and waiting for BTC to make that decision for us, Ty.
Yep, definitely. All right. Hope to leave your thoughts and comments. Please share this with anyone if you do believe that wanting to see some BTC updates. Heck, we could be wrong, we could be right, but we're always interested in having a look at the charts and sharing what we think might be happening. Hope you enjoyed this week's stream. We'll be back next Thursday. As always, you can join us over at unitytradinggroup.com. Come hang out in the Discord and let's trade and make some sats.
Absolutely. Catch you later. Thanks for tuning in.
See you later, guys.